Hello. There are many things that we can focus on at the moment. We're trying to listen to God about the future shape of the church, who we are during and after the pandemic, but helping each other become really good at being disciples, everyday faith people, Monday to Saturday, and showing in what we do as churches that we value every calling, cleaner, teacher, shop worker, whatever it may be, mechanic, has got to be something that's at the heart of what it means to be church. And growing more and more into the kinds of churches where we value the ministry of absolutely everyone, both inside and outside the church, has got to be something wonderful we can focus on. About 3 years ago, the Church of England brought out a report called Setting God's People Free. And in a way, it's the foundation of much of the culture change that we're looking at across the Church of England, Birmingham. Setting God's people free wasn't the first time the church had ever said we need to address everyday faith. But it said very strongly that we need to do two things. Firstly, to affirm the calling of everyone in every area of life. Most of us live out our daily lives in jobs or networks. 95% of the time, we're only in the church, as it were, for 5% of our time. And the problem can be that we can get quite fixated on church. So, for example, one teacher said, I teach primary school children for 8 hours a day, but it's not mentioned. But I do Sunday school for 1 hour a month, and they get me up the front to pray for me. The other issue the report picked up on was that sometimes, rather than energizing the discipleship and ministry of all people in the church, we can emphasize certain roles as important, but de-skill others in the process. So the report recommends that over time, we make two big shifts in the way we do things in the church. The first is to teach and equip all people to follow Christ confidently in every area of life. We know that Psalm 24 says, the earth is the Lord's and everything in it. In other words, everything matters. You might be aware that the second person in the Bible to be mentioned as being anointed by God's Spirit was a textile maker, Bezalel. God is interested in the healing and the reconciliation of everything, whether that's politics, art, sport, cookery, every area of life. The other shift that the report recommended was recognizing that we are all equally baptized into Christ, that we are equal in worth and status, complementary in gifting and vocation. Paul emphasizes in Ephesians and in 1 Corinthians how we are all one body in which everyone plays a part. This is my heart for the church, to be this kind of community, and I'm sure it's yours too. Joining an everyday faith learning community is a simple way in which you can put these two shifts into practice over a period of 2 years. It's not a new initiative, it's not a program, it's not another set of activities. It's a process that you go on with a few people from your church or oversight area, joining in with others to work out what the next steps can be for you in growing into a culture where every calling is valued and every person can exercise their ministry. Lasting change, which really shifts the way we do things well, tends to be over a period of time and tends to be a series of small steps which we come back and review. So the idea is that over 2 years you can make 7 small shifts which will help everyone to be everyday disciples. These actions might be starting something new, or they might be building on something that God has started, or they might just be about highlighting something that already exists so that more people understand it. It's not about reinventing the wheel, but it is about being intentional in changing the culture. The important thing is that you get to choose the actions that are right for your context. It's not a one-size-fits-all scheme. There's a huge range of possibilities from which you choose. That could be about worship, it could be about prayer, it could be about communication, it could be about leadership, it could be about community involvement, etc. So in order to do this, your PCC just needs to appoint a group of 2, 3 or 4 people who are passionate about this, and who are mostly made up of lay people. People who are fired up about seeing God work in every area of life and seeing everyone be able to grow. These few people will meet 4 times over a period of 2 years. So we meet for a Saturday morning every 6 months. We join in with other churches, we learn together, we learn from each other, and then you're led in a process by which you can identify 2 or 3 steps that you can take over the next 6 months. The following meeting, we come back and review how that's gone, because one thing that's really important in changing is being able to look back and see how you're getting on. Then we identify the next steps depending on where you're at. As you can see, over a period of 2 years, this will really embed genuine change. When at least 7 shifts have been achieved, you will be recognized as an everyday faith community. We will have a celebration, a bishop will be involved, you will be given something visual to recognize it, but you will also be a model of good practice for others. And you can help this culture of everyday faith cascade across Church of England Birmingham. That's it. It's simple, it's accessible, anyone can join it. You don't have to be an expert, you don't have to have been a disciple for a long period of time. It's a really good time to do this because during the pandemic, we've realized even more that everyone matters in the church. We've been given a renewed appreciation of discipleship in the home. And as we come out of the pandemic, it will help us to continue to be outward looking and mission orientated in our thinking. So please, if you're interested, the next learning community begins on April 23rd. Would love to have a small team from your church. Just contact me and I'll get you signed up. Thanks for listening.